This is Michael ASMR. I'm just gonna poke your face. Simple as that. Enjoy. You might know the stippling trigger. This is the poking your face trigger. Completely different. Poke, 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 poke. Half whispering. Second half of the video, soft speaking. The word poke, along with the pokes. You get the idea. Poke, 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 poke. Poke, 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 poke. Poke, 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 poke. Poke, 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 poke. You a slow poke, slow poke, slow poke, 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 poke. But I'm a fast poke. Fast poke, 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 poke. Fast poke. It's my middle name. Poke, 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 poke. Do you remember when you used to poke people online? Poke, 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 poke. This is what it's resorted to. Poke, 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 poke. Poke, 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 poke. Pocahontas, 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 Pocahontas. No, I'm not culturally appropriating Pocahontas. I've trademarked the poke. Poke, 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 poke. Poke, poke. Poke, 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 long pokes. Poke, 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 poke. I think I look better from this distance. Poke, poke. The further away, the better for me, really. Poke, 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 poke. I scare you by being up close. Poke, 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 poke. Poke, 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 Soft speaking. Poke, 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 poke. Is this bringing back some bad memories for you? Poke, 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 poke. When you used to get poked to death. Poke, 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 poke. Just pretend that you're like Batman. Poke, 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 poke. You're facing your fears. Poke, 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 poke. And you enjoy the pokes now. You enjoy when people point at you. Poke, 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 poke. Slowpoke, slowpoke, slowpoke. You're slow, you're a slow poke. You're slow, you're a slow poke. You're slow, you're a slow poke. 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 I'm a fast poke. I'm a fast poke. I'm a fast poke. Fast poke. Fast poke. Fast poke. Fast, 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 fast poke. It's most fucking weird. I love it. Poke, 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 poke. Or is it that the content creators are weird? Poke, 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 poke. Poke, 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 poke. You walking up to the front door. Poke, 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 poke. Shall I knock on the door? Poke, 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 poke. There's a doorbell there. Poke, 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 poke. I'm the fast poke. I'll poke it. Ding dong. Poke, 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 poke. Poke, 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 poke. If I ever ran for office, would they use this video against me? They'd probably use every video against me. Poke, 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 poke. Poke, 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 poke. So you say if I press this button, that's for a nuclear bomb? Poke, 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 poke. But I'm not to push it. Poke, 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 poke. I'm the fast poke guy. Poke. Poke. poke, 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 poke. Poker face, poker face. I'm running out of anything I can think of to do with poking. Poke, 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 poke. Hopefully this was enough to have you relaxed for a few minutes. Poke, 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 poke. 1 minute of non-stop fast pokes. Poke, 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 You're welcome. Good night.